Hello everyone, welcome into our latest live broadcast. It's Halloween, the 31st of October, 2025. I'm Carey Holzman and thank you so much for tuning in. Now, today on Friday, I always like to save something a little special for Friday shows. But my special thing for today won't be here until tomorrow. So we're going to have our special Friday show on Saturday. What is that special thing? Our good friend, well, I hope to be a good friend, Cyber CPU Tech, who is also a working computer technician who makes YouTube videos, has been struggling with YouTube's automated AI video takedown system that offers no real means of a real genuine appeal. You know, when you send an appeal for a wrongfully taken down video that does not conform to the allegations, a lot of times those appeals are immediately denied by AI within seconds of you sending it. That's how we know it's not a human doing these evaluations. As a result, there's really nothing you can do. It's taken down, and by the way, they'll tell you, if you break the rules 2 more times in the next 90 days, we may just go ahead and shut your channel down. We likely will. So the problem is, it's like you're in a courtroom and you're never allowed to speak. Or if you do speak, the judge isn't hearing you, doesn't even read your lips, has no idea you're even making any attempts. So all you get is the prosecutor talking to the judge, and you as the defendant, completely innocent, and the charges are preposterous. They're saying you're 10 feet tall and you weigh 4,000 pounds. And no matter how absurd the allegations are, where it would be very simple for you to just go, it's obvious I'm not 4,000 pounds and it's obvious I'm not 10 feet tall. They simply deny that, say you're wrong, and you're being punished now. This is a level of absurdity that is driving a lot of YouTube content creators away from making any certain topics of videos, like bypassing a local account on Windows, they're claiming could be harmful or dangerous. It could cause injury or death. Seriously, that's what they're saying. And it's been affecting not just Cyber CPU Tech, but many other content creators as well. I reached out to Rich, that's his name, Rich, and said, look, you know, you don't have to fight this battle alone. In one of Rich's videos, he said he was really surprised at how many other YouTube tech creators reached out to him, given that we're competitors. I disagree. I don't think we're competitors at all. I think that we're a like-minded group representing various areas of the country or various countries that share a similar passion. I don't see Rich's videos as competitive to mine whatsoever. I think that we are, it's like saying John Lennon was competitive with Paul McCartney. Individually, Paul McCartney and John Lennon did pretty good for themselves, but never was the spark the same than with the two of them together. One, I think, could easily determine that the power of both of them together was far greater than any individual solo thing or anything they could do with anybody else, quite frankly. So, well, yes, you could say when they were writing their solo albums individually that they were competitive with one another. I don't see it that way. We don't always have to do everything the same, and we don't always have to agree. And I don't think that makes it competition. I think it makes it variety. And there's no reason a viewer would just pick one over another. I mean, some might, but there's no real reason why a viewer might just appreciate all the different perspectives, because they're going to vary depending on where you live in the world, what your values are, what are the kind of problems and laws that are affecting you. And, you know, when it comes to running a business and doing computer repair, it's probably more similar than it is different, at least the business part of things. So tomorrow at 1 o'clock, we'll have Cyber CPU Tech here, and I am super anxious and honored, to be honest, to have him join us here. So We can talk not just about this issue, right? This is the content creator side of things. You know, there's also other issues with YouTube's AI, such as, well, when you're gifting memberships, which of course I really appreciate, that YouTube decides who gets them. And I think there's a flaw in that system where the most deserving people are not getting those memberships that should when they're gifted. Furthermore, I think a gift membership should be an option for the gifter to be able to pick who they want it to go to, or let YouTube AI decide, at least put it in the hands of the person paying for it. And then on top of that, there's no way for me to forcefully unsubscribe anybody from my channel, and there's no way for YouTube to identify when an individual is creating multiple accounts. Now, when I say there's no way for YouTube, what I mean is the people at YouTube either don't care or they're just not smart enough. It's a very easy, everything I'm talking about is extraordinarily easy to fix. I'm not at a level of YouTube administrative status, but apparently, from my experience, I'm way above that. Like, what YouTube is considering technical assistance is very much what I could hear from a 7-year-old today that just grows up with the stuff. And it's, you know, as a technology leader that YouTube is supposed to be, you think that they would hire knowledgeable people, but like any other company, it appears they only want to hire the cheapest, least experienced people to keep warm bodies in chairs. And as you can imagine, replacing them with AI is 6 of one, half dozen of another. I can't tell the difference. I can't tell if I'm talking to a really dumb human or a really dumb computer. They're equally as dumb or as uncaring, bureaucratic, robotic, and thick. I am sure that with the funding that YouTube has available and the resources that YouTube has available, they could be blowing it out of the water right now with accuracy and, you know, have people auditing the behavior of the AI and taking over and correcting, but that would cost them money. And I guess that's the reason why they don't do it. So everything is done as though, you know, as though they were a little startup company that had no money. That's how they're acting, and this is how they've been acting for some time. It's frustrating, but I will congratulate Rich, Cyber CPU Tech, because of his frustrations. What he's done is he's gotten the attention of many PC tech website, Tom's Hardware, PC World Magazine, et cetera, to report on this issue. And there's a big Reddit thread going on right now from other content creators around the world. And what's interesting about it to me is this is usually, you know, running to the media, this is usually what a consumer will do when they're dealing with a non-technical company, a company that's not a leader in technology. Let's say, for example, your local news might have an advocate on your news channel for representing people that have been wronged by some service they paid for and never got, a charge on a credit card that the credit card company refuses to remove, and they fight for it for months. You returned a rental car 6 weeks ago and the company claims you never returned the car. You try talking to them, showing them receipts, just falls on deaf ears. And then what ends up happening most of the time when these people contact their local news advocacy group or advocacy side of the news, the problem is resolved usually by, it's a few minutes of segment explaining the problem, introducing the person, they talk about their frustration, and then the news anchor reaches out to the company, and before you know it, it's all been resolved, happy endings. So yeah, you know, for companies like this, especially small mom and pop or, you know, self-contracted people, or I'm going to redo your pool but decking, or I'm going to put up a fence. You pay them all this money, they start the work, they never finish it, they ghost you. All of a sudden there's the news anchor there, or the consumer advocate there talking to the business owner, catching them in a parking lot or something and giving them all the hardball questions. And more times than not, that's when they start getting the district attorney involved, the city prosecutor, and then it usually is followed up with them refunding the customer's money, or he will follow up on their court date and meet them at the court. This guy, this is a typical, I'm thinking of one guy in particular in Detroit, Rob Wolchek, and it's very entertaining and it's great justice. As you can imagine, with YouTube justice, if you will, not being served, it's wrongfully making accusations that are 100% false. If you try to appeal it, the appeal is not being read by anybody in most cases and is denied 100% falsely. So there's no auditing happening here. And Lord knows if YouTube's even paying out fairly. What you have to understand is when YouTube does this, they steal all your money that video made. They steal the content creator's money. And if it's something the content creator didn't do, and YouTube won't hear it, they won't self-correct, then it's going to require some form of legal action taken against YouTube to assign a public auditor to go over the books. Because for all we know, YouTube isn't even paying us correctly. Without anybody auditing the books, YouTube could be saying they're giving us a certain percentage when in fact they're truly not. So if we're going to start throwing around false allegations, well, let's throw that on the table and see how they like it and prove to us that you're not ripping us off. The problem is that if you get those 3 false allegations and your appeals are denied within 90 days, then YouTube will steal all of your money. YouTube will steal all of your money and you will have 0 recourse. So not only does YouTube need to self-correct, but they need to compensate the viewers for the money they took illegally that the content creator earned rightfully according to the rules. And further, when they take a video down, that video stops performing. Not only did they steal the money, but then they prevent that video from generating any more revenue by not showing it. And YouTube then needs to be, in my opinion, held legally obligated to recompensate that content creator for the projected revenue that they would have earned had that video been left alone, provided that that video is in fact not violating the terms that the AI claims it is. So it's a madhouse right now. Now, when you combine that with running a computer repair business, when you combine that with customers, billing, finding new customers, actually doing the work, you can imagine that. And then, of course, dealing with trolls and spammers and all the harassment on YouTube from viewers that YouTube, again, has the clear ability very easily to disable or to, you want to talk about punishing. YouTube shouldn't be punishing the content creators. It's the viewers that, in my experience, have been causing the problems. And YouTube, I mean, look, if you're YouTube and you've got 1 viewer creating 20 accounts, that's good for you. That makes it look like you have 20 more viewers than you really have. YouTube seems to be more than happy to inflate viewership numbers, just like Twitter did with Elon Musk when Elon was buying Twitter. And he said, you don't have as many accounts as you say you do. Twitter said, yes, we do. And he said, prove it. These are multiple duplicate bots and spam and people with multiple accounts. Twitter said, no, they're not. And then, of course, once Elon got all the books and went through it, he found, I think, about 40% of all Twitter users were fake, duplicate bots, etc. And then, of course, Elon laid off 80% of Twitter staff. They're completely redundant and unnecessary. And people said, well, that's the end of Twitter. Don't bet against Elon because Twitter's still there. And they still have a bot problem, but he's done a lot more than YouTube has. So YouTube can go to potential advertisers and say, we have so many 100 million daily users, when in fact they really don't. What they really have is a significantly smaller number that is inflated artificially by the use of duplicate accounts, bots, and spammers. And it's to their benefit, it's to YouTube's benefit to keep this illusion alive in order to charge advertisers more money. But what they've done is they've deflated the value of the advertising because it's not resulting in any positive results for the advertisers the way that it should mathematically work out. It isn't, the math isn't mathing. So then the advertising revenue goes down. So YouTube is basically causing their own implosion. And unfortunately, without a good content alternative, you know, there's Rumble, there's Odyssey, there's a lot of others. None of them hold a candle to YouTube. So for right now and for damn near 20 years, YouTube has led this space without any competition. Let's hope that changes soon, or let's hope there's some litigation against YouTube to force a public auditor appointed by the court to oversee the enforcement of these rules and to ensure that the rules are able to be justifiable within reason. Because a completely false allegation with an automated denial of appeal, it's absurdity at its best. It's like the movie Idiocracy has come to life, where some company so big and so powerful that could easily fix this problem would rather pocket the money than make the platform better. And so as they continue to pocket that money, they're going to keep earning less. They're going to keep discouraging content creators and even viewers from wanting to return to the platform. And a similar thing is happening in Las Vegas right now. They're imploding too. Las Vegas has apparently decided we don't want middle-class earners here. They spend too much time dilly-dallying, and we'd rather just have rich people here. But without all the people, you don't have any of the energy. You don't have any of the atmosphere. The people. It's like you have a big football stadium, and you have the rich people in the box seats, but all of the other seats are empty. Does that sound like a game you want to go to and watch live in person? Because that's what Vegas is doing to themselves. And watching it implode, it's hard to feel sorry for them. So we're trying to help YouTube out. We're trying to make them aware that they have a problem and at least let them know. Do they even know? Because they won't listen. I'll be interested to hear Rich's take, the way he sees this. But I also want to talk to Rich about the business, you know, what's going on with Windows 10, what are his thoughts there, Windows 11, Windows updates. I'm super looking forward to tomorrow's show, and I hope you'll join us. It'll be at 1:00 p.m. tomorrow. It's an unusual show for a Saturday, but that was, Rich is my guest. If that's a day and time that works for him, then that's when we're going to do the show. So if you have questions for him, now's the time to consider being here so you can ask the man directly, because we'll take your questions as you would expect it during an interview. And I hope it'll be one of many visits. He seems like a great guy. I think we have a lot in common, but we don't agree 100% on everything. And in fact, if we did agree 100% on everything, I'd probably be a very boring interview. Seriously. So, yeah. Let me say hello to everybody joining us in the chat room, with a special shout out to our good friend Buster. Peter Laycock sends us the usual Amazon gift card in lieu of a super chat. Thank you so much, Buster, as always. Mortant joins us and says hello. There's our friend Rick Lakes and 3D Everything, Gary Bickle, and Michael Lavelle. I also see Eddie Casanova, of course, Mara, our channel administrators in there. Rob says happy Halloween to everyone, and there's John Williams. Joining us as well, Buster, our friend Peter Laycock, says hello everyone in the chat room. The temperature in Edinburgh, Scotland right now is 52 degrees Fahrenheit or 11.1 Celsius. Scott's talking to John there in the chat. He says he got one of the Clev NVMe drives. Works okay. Speed is advertised. 53 to 61 degrees Celsius at idle. Seems a bit warm. It does seem a bit warm. But 70 is really where you're in trouble. I don't think we've ever used a Clev NVMe drive. I think they're more popular in Europe than they are here in the United States. So I don't know what's normal on those drives. Not that you were asking me, but I'm just sticking my nose here in the chat. Caniac44 joins us, says hello. There's Andy W6AD and Shane Perkins. I also see Mark Baggett joins us and says hello. And Bike Man Ben Laird, also from Scotland, joins us and says hello here in the chat room. Frank Jimmy saying happy Halloween to everybody. Dennis joins us. Jonathan Fells and Jim Kenny say hello. GNHTX and Poorly Boy saying hello here in the chat. If you're watching this, it's live right now. Please pop into our chat room and say hello. We're just looking for kind people. If you fit the definition of kind, regardless of how smart or dumb or old or young, the color of your skin, the gender you are or identify with, we don't care about any of that. There's jerks across the board. But if you're kind, please pop into our chat room and say hello. We'd love to have you here. Elijah52 Dickens says hello. Gad Dag says hello. Thomas MacT joining us, as well as Richard DeFries. Chris Johnson. HDDMI. Dazzle555 says hello. And Doman2000. Scott Messerschmidt. Our friend Luke Greenia from Vermont. He says it's very wet over there right now. I bet the colors are amazing if there's still any leaves on the trees. James Harden Santiago. Bajan Guy saying hello here in the chat room. So again, a welcome into everybody joining us. Mark Baggett just renewed his membership. He's now been a member for 41 months. He goes, 41 months already. Boy, does time fly. Well, thanks to you guys, you know, we're more or less immune from all this stuff YouTube is doing. Not completely, but more or less. The membership is really the secret sauce to taking away some of YouTube's power. It's also the secret sauce to taking away some of corporations' power. Corporations are going to have to adapt. When we do reviews here of products, we often hear the same story again and again and again from corporations that want us to follow a script. They want us to submit a video to them for approval. They want us to make a commercial. And we're very clear with them, we're not going to make you a commercial, but we're willing to give an honest review. The review will be of my opinions as a working computer technician. If this is a product that I would stand behind to my customers representing this company, saying, hey, Carey, for example, a customer might ask, what's a good printer to buy? Do you think I'm going to pick the printer that has the most profit in it for me? Or do you think I'm going to pick the best printer for the customer's needs and budget? Because if you know me at all, you know the answer to this question. And it's as if they're either playing stupid, the PR companies and the companies themselves, or there's a massive cultural difference between how the USA versus where a lot of these companies come from in China have a very different cultural value and ethics and morals. I'm not sure which one it is. I've never been to China, but we've had companies try and negotiate the kind of video we're going to make. And then they try and tell us when to air that. You know, can you do this on November the 3rd? It's like, well, maybe. I mean, first of all, we have to have it. So if you send it to us and we don't have it in time for a November 3rd show, there's no point in discussing it until you send it. And since you're not paying us, I'm not going to dedicate a certain date or time to you unless we've got a history of working together, in which case you're keeping me happy, I'm keeping you happy, no money is exchanging hands. I'm happy to accommodate any request that's reasonable, that doesn't call into question my integrity. And, you know, make sure that we're both happy and it gives content to our viewers. It's all good. And I'd say 3 out of 5 times they back out and say, never mind.
When they don't have control of it, they don't trust us. And that tells me a lot about them. If you don't trust me, if you think if you can't control this video that I'm going to say something bad about you, then you have something bad you're worried about that I'm going to call out. That's all I need to know. Now, I don't even want to do the review now. But if you say, we know our product is good, we're not even worried about what you can say because we know it's fantastic. And should you find anything that's not fantastic, we'd love to know about it so we can have the option to consider improving our product in that way without paying $10,000 to a consultant. We'll just send you the product for free. You air it the way you normally do it, and we appreciate any and all feedback. Do you know how few companies actually say that or are okay? Very few. The memberships here prevent me from having no choice, right? My choice would otherwise be do what they want you to do to collect the money so you can make the mortgage and pay the electric bill, or shut down the YouTube channel. That's it. Except for memberships. And the memberships give us that power that we are not being beggars. We're not reaching out to companies going, oh, please, please, please. Nope. Nope. We can take it or leave it. And the companies that appreciate the effort and the time that we put into a 2 or 3 hour dedicated video for their product, exposing both the good and the bad, as much as I can determine it, the companies you see over and over again, like Minis Forum and Nemo, etc. If I were you and I'm watching this content, and I'm starting to realize there's certain companies you don't see on this channel anymore that you once did. I wonder why. And if I'm considering spending my money on a product, and I'm a member of this channel or I'm a fan of this channel, wouldn't I want to support the companies that are supporting the content I enjoy watching? You don't have to, but I mean, that's just the way I think. So if you see me reviewing a product one time and you never see that product or that manufacturer ever again, I think it's worthy of consideration when there's likely other similar products in the same general area, arena, pricing, where we've seen that manufacturer time and time again, like Nemo, with all the different laptops and models they send us with that variety. And we've been calling out, you know, the things that I don't like about it, but overall there's way more things that I do like about it. And you know, even Minis Forum, oftentimes not putting the little holes in the rubber feet, requiring the feet get removed. I call them out on that every single time. But overall, I still like the products. I think it's something to consider when making a purchasing decision. Because I tell you this, if you were my customer and you said, what would be a good mini PC to buy? And you know how many you have to choose from, even within the same realm of price and performance, you can guess which one I'm going to recommend, can't you? Or at least a couple. And you could probably guess which ones I'm not going to recommend. I don't usually call out the ones I don't recommend. I'm not here to put anybody down. What I want to do is put the spotlight on the star and keep the spotlight off the audience, or keep the spotlight off of the side players that aren't contributing much or just looking for attention. They're not on stage for the right reasons. So basically, I am trying, at least in my mind, to be very fair and to return what I've received. Kindness, generosity, and understanding is received, it's returned. If it's, we want to use you as a commercial and you're going to do everything we say you're going to do, and in exchange you can keep the paperclip that we're going to send you, no, it's massively, massively insulting to me that that's what you think the content is worth. So essentially, I cannot thank the members and the supporters of this channel enough, because without you guys, I wouldn't have that ability to stand up for myself and push back. The idea that some of these companies think we need them more than they need us is a real problem for some companies. We need each other equally, and until that is met with reciprocation, we're not interested.
sometimes when you're relying on just advertising revenue to pay the bills, you don't have any choice. You take what you can get. And so some of these companies are still coming in with that old take what you can get attitude. And we keep pushing back because there's enough content creators that'll just say yes and grab, take the money. We don't do that here. And we don't do it because we don't have to. And we don't have to because of our supporters. So thank you guys for that. All right, let's see if I missed anybody or we've got other folks joining us here in the chat. David Herzog says hello. Rick Lakes with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Rick. James Prezi says hello. There's Mark Gaines joining us from Northern Ireland. Gary Tatum says hello. LJ says hello. M. Gossman joins us, says thank you for all you do. You're helping us learn. And I'm learning right along with you. Sometimes you're the ones teaching me. So again, it should all be reciprocal. No different than my business. When a customer, I had a customer call me the other day. I give you a little taste of what's going on behind the scenes with the business side of things. Did some work for a customer. And it'd be interesting to see how you would handle this. Was reluctant to do any work for this customer. They called me up, have an older machine, but it was a high-end older machine, like a Dell XPS. And they asked if I could fix a problem they had with it. And they live clear across the other side of town, which is a good hour away each direction. I said I could do it, but honestly, there's no special skill in what you're asking me to do. If I were you, I would find somebody closer to your side of town. So if there's any issues after the repair, it's going to be very difficult for me to support or help you. No, I'll bring the computer to you. I really want you to do it. I said, but you understand if I make a mistake, if there's an oversight, you're going to drive for an hour to get here, an hour to get back. And when it's ready, you're going to drive for an hour to get here and an hour to get back. When you could probably find someone within a few blocks or miles of where you are now that could equally do the same job. I know I'm a terrible salesman, but I'm afraid that this isn't going to go well. Worst case is what I'm always thinking. What if this doesn't go well? How am I going to be able to help you? No, that's fine. I accept responsibility, So fine, okay, that's what you want to do. I've set your expectations. You're good with it. Worst case scenario, you're still going to be okay. You're not going to be mad at me. Brings the computer in. I do a complete wipe and reset, give it back to him, and says his internet's slow. I'm like, doesn't make any sense. Well, he's got one of those Dells that's got the killer network card, and Doug and I made a couple videos about this whole thing that there's really no fix for it. You can go into some settings, and I don't remember what they are. And you make these settings, and then it starts working again. You make these settings changes. So after he gets the computer home, and again, he tells me, because I never noticed this problem, he says, the Wi-Fi is working fine on it. It's just the network cable, everything's really slow. So we're thinking he's got a bad cable modem, maybe a bad router. We go down the standard diagnostics, and no, everything's checking out. A little more research, find out it's that killer network card. It's a particular model that has issues. I don't remember. So he goes, well, I just want to reconfigure it. I did the upgrade from Windows 10 to 11. And I had warned him. I guess I missed that part of the story. I said, your computer's already at an age where it should be replaced. It's already like 8 or 9 years old. And he goes, yeah, but it's been working fine, so I don't want to replace it. I just need you to fix it for me. This was the initial call. I go, you're asking me to fix it for you, but it's just going to break again, and it'll break sooner, and you're just going to keep bringing it in for repair. That's why I'm suggesting you find somebody local if you want to hold on to an older machine. And then he started telling me the specs, and I went, well, it is a higher end older machine, so I guess I can see that, but it's still going to be a problem. I mean, if it's not going to be a problem today, it's coming soon. Well, he doesn't want to hear that. So I work on it and get back to him. Now there's a network card problem, which, by the way, worked fine for me, but I wasn't checking upload speeds. So I do a little research on this, and I'm not getting paid. Right? I just did this one repair this one time at a flat rate. Everything else, I stand behind my work. So I'm doing all this research and trying to figure this out and spending hours with him on the phone. I said, look, there's a real easy solution to this. Just go on Amazon and buy a $15 USB to Ethernet cable and plug it in and you're done. And I mean, you're done forever. It's a permanent fix. Just don't use the killer network card. He goes, yeah, but we were able to fix it before. I said, I know we were, but when we had problems with it, I recommended the USB network card. And you refuse to accept that. You won't spend the $15. It's your choice, but I don't, that's what I would do if it were me. If you were my client or if we lived closer, I would pay for it myself rather than spend all this time on the phone with you. So anyway, he's like, no, I want this to work. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to see this through. So I spent the additional hours and time on the phone out of my own moral, ethical obligation that I put on myself. I want a happy customer, And despite my discouragement for him to even repair that computer, despite my discouragement for him to drive across town to bring it to me, we had a problem that I was afraid of. And now my hands were tied. And so I could connect to him remotely and try these fixes, and we found one that worked. So fast forward another year and a half, I get a phone call from somebody, I don't even know who they are. Start talking to him and realize it's the same guy from a year and a half earlier with the exact same problem again, because he upgraded from Windows 10 to 11 and now the card's not working. He wants to know how to, things are moved around in Windows 11. Where did we go to change that? I have no idea. I've worked on a lot of computers since then. I don't know what to tell you. I did tell you this was going to keep happening. I did tell you this older computer was going to continue to have problems. And he's like, yeah, but there was a configuration and you had me go, and he just wouldn't listen to me. And I said, look, I'll tell you the same thing I told you before. You go on Amazon, you buy a $15 USB to network adapter, you plug it in, there's no drivers, and the problem's solved forever. Even if I did know how to fix this and walk you through it over the phone, it's just going to happen again. Well, the only reason this happened this time is because I went from Windows 10 to Windows 11. I go, yeah, and there'll be another reason the next time, and another reason the next time. This never is going to go away. But for $15, you go on Amazon, you buy a USB network interface card. Like, I'm repeating myself over and over. It'll show up at your door. It's not expensive. It's not difficult. You plug it in and just get on with your life. Yeah, but this was working. I said, look, I don't know if it's about principle for you, but it's not about principle for me. For me, my goal is to answer your question, get you to a fast, affordable, simple solution as possible, and permanently fix the problem. You only seem interested in continuing this problem. Oh, it's working fine after we fixed it. Until next time, you're gonna keep coming around to this over and over and over again. And I'm really starting to get upset with this guy. And I said, look, you've asked me for my help. I'm giving you the help, and for some reason, you won't listen. I have brought you to the water, but you're refusing to drink. There's nothing more I can do for you. If you insist on, trying to keep fighting with this, I'm sure you can find another technician that would be willing to help you. But this is all the help I can offer you. This free phone call that I entertained was almost an hour long, and me just repeating the same thing over and over and over. What would you do if you were in that position? I genuinely want to help him, but it's like, and I told him, I said, it's like you're asking the doctor how to cure some symptom, and I'm telling you to take the medicine, and you're refusing to take the medicine because you want another way to do it. Well, there's no other way I'm willing to subject myself to, just because you don't like the kind of answer you were given. And by the way, the phone call is completely free. I'm not charging him anything. I'm doing this out of customer service courtesy, and all it's doing is upsetting him, and it's upsetting me. I'd have been better off just not answering the phone and let it go to voicemail. He was a customer one time a year and a half ago, and he's still looking for free support. And when I generously offer it, it's not good enough, and he refuses it. It won't let me get off the phone. He won't say, well, I'm looking for another solution. Thanks for your help. No, he wants to keep convincing me to abide by what he wants the way he wants it. And it's very rude. Like, I'm not quite sure how direct I need to be to get it through his head. You've asked me for help. I've offered you the help. If you don't like that help that I gave you for free, ask someone else. Oh, we have emails. All right. So this is what I'm wondering is, if you were running a business and you had a customer do that, how would you have handled it differently? Because I know I didn't handle it in a way that's typical. In a way that would be typical would be, here's your solution, and if you have any other questions, have a nice day. You know what I mean? Like, there's a passive aggressiveness to getting customers off the phone quickly while still appearing to help them when you're really not, and appearing to care when you really don't. And because I care, it gets me upset that someone's asking me for help. I'm drowning. Can you please throw me? Can you save me from drowning? And so I throw them a flotation device. They're like, no, I don't want that flotation device. I don't want to be rescued that way. I need you to grab the flotation device. No, I don't like that flotation device. That's not how I want to be rescued. Well, maybe there'll be another rescuer that'll come around. You know, I don't know what more I can do. You're welcome. There's nothing in it for me other than your appreciation. And if I can't get that, there's no money. And if you don't appreciate it, that's fine. Find somebody else. We'll both be happier. So again, I'm curious, what would you have done differently? Oh, our friend Barry Klein with an Amazon gift card. Happy Halloween. Here's a little something for your channel coffers, and big middle finger to YouTube since they get none of it. Thank you. Thank you, Barry. Well, here's hoping YouTube will eventually, with the peer pressure of the media, by cyber CPU tech taking this to the media, it's like that person going to the news advocate, and all of a sudden the resistant company starts to become more customer service focused, that they had the option of doing the entire time before the customer got so freaking frustrated they went to the news. By cyber CPU going to the news, or I'm assuming that's what he did, as soon as one big reputable media company produces that content, other smaller ones replicate it. So it's all over the web right now, from Tom's Hardware to PC World Magazine to at least 7 other websites have covered the story. And let's hope that that's enough negative media attention on YouTube that it gets somebody's attention, because right now they're not watching. I can say anything I want to about YouTube. They don't watch my videos, and they never will. That might actually cost them money. So they're mostly complaints driven, which means that they're discriminatory, meaning that if you have somebody constantly complaining against you, you'll be held to a higher standard than other YouTube content creators. That's illegal discrimination. There is a big lawsuit coming. I can't tell you when, but YouTube will be held accountable for all of this. And it won't be by me, but if I have an opportunity to be a part of it, I will absolutely sign up. I'm just waiting for somebody else to do it. Give it time. Mark Gaines sends an Amazon gift card. Hope you enjoy this gift card. Hello, Carey and Mara. This is my contribution in lieu of Super Chat. Well, cheers, Mark. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, Barry. And of course, thanks to Buster for the earlier gift card as well. Let me see what your comments are in this, because I'm curious what you would do with this guy calling and just refusing. I don't know what his deal is. And I asked him, I go, is there some reason you're opposed to spending the $15? I mean, if it's that bad, I'll just send you a $15, pay for it on Amazon and have it shipped directly to you, just so that this problem is solved once and for all. And you don't have to keep going around in circles with this. And you don't have to keep calling me every single time it happens.
Well, it's only happened because of this. I go, yeah. And it only happened before because of the other. And then it won't only happen again because of something else. And it'll only happen again because I just want to solve it once. So is there some reason, do you not have the $15, or is there something you're not telling me, or is this just principle based? Because if it's principle based, if you're like, well, that's supposed to work and I want it to work, then you can spend 3 days chasing it down. I said directly to him, I said, I'm not going to spend 3 days chasing this down over a $15 solution. And why you won't accept this $15 solution and why you're resistant to it makes no sense to me. 0 cents. All you have to do is spend $15. They'll have it at your door in a day or two. You don't have to go anywhere. It comes to you. You plug it in. You don't have any software to install. And your problem is fixed forever. What's the problem? And he goes on about, well, it was working. There we go again. So didn't hear a word I said. Tell me what you think, and then don't listen to me when I tell you. Barry Klein said, my take is simple. Here's my rate. If you want to pay that rate in advance, then I'll help you overcome the problem. One time per charge, otherwise you pay me my free advice for $15. Free advice for $15? Yeah, again, I'm not really trying to find a reason to bill people or to make money in a way that's unnecessary. This is something this man can easily do himself. He doesn't need my help, and it will permanently solve the problem. If he pays me by the hour and I take that, it now becomes my obligation legally instead of morally. It's now a legal obligation. And I honestly don't know the fix for it. I cannot remember, and I don't want to go through all that research. He just happened to buy a Dell in a certain period of time where they were using this particular network card. And had he bought a year earlier or a year later, he wouldn't have been stuck with this problem. It's just the way the cards fell, but it's not like it's any effort at all to plug in a USB adapter and be done with it. I just don't get any sort of reasoning behind why you wouldn't spend less time, less money, and fix it permanently rather than temporarily. And I don't think there's enough money in the world for me to tolerate that. It's an emotional thing, and I can't be bothered with it. Not in business. You keep that for your personal relationships. In business, I'm here to get a job done, to get it done quickly, get it done right, get it done permanently, get it done under budget. And I offered him that solution for free. Maybe if I had said, I'll give you the solution for $100, maybe then he would have listened. Because I've noticed that with the public. If you give things out for free, a lot of times the public sees that as having no value. So then if you said, okay, the first one's free, but the second one's going to cost money, they go, well, why would I pay money for something that's free? You've already set a precedent that you have no value. And therefore you oftentimes, at least in my experience, get no respect and no value to the services or the products you're offering when you do that. People have to pay for it. It's sort of like, I can give you an award for something you've never done. It's empty. It means nothing. There's no inner sense of fulfillment there. There's no real appreciation as it would be. It's not the same as if you struggled and sacrificed to earn that award. That award will have more value to you as an individual than if I just gave it to you for free. You'd probably misplace it or maybe throw it in the trash. Same award, exact same value, but the perception is very different. It's a frustration for me as a technician because there's times I want to help people when I realize I'm actually not helping them. In the same way, if I see somebody going through a withdrawal of a drug and I want to give them that drug to take away their pain, to help them, all I'm doing is hurting them and enabling them. So it may be the worst thing you can do is to help them. Just let them go through what they need to go through. And it may be a tough thing to watch, but that's their path. And trying to help them may actually be the opposite of helping. You may make things worse. Mark Leibowitz, another computer tech here, joins us from Chicago, says hello in the chat. Says he just got back from installing a Deco mesh router for a client. Yeah, that's what we use here. We love it. We love our TP-Link Deco mesh, and we bought it. TP-Link did not send it to us. It was expensive and worth every penny, and I think is still the best financial value from all the mesh routers out there. That's why we use it. Al Perez says, let the phone ring or block him. Yeah, for sure. Initially, I did let the phone ring. It went to voicemail, and I can't tell if it's a spammer or not unless there's a voicemail left, and I really thought it was probably a spammer because he's long since been out of my contact list. If he was a regular customer or something, it'd be different. Heck, if he was a neighbor and I could just hop over there real quick, I'd be happy to, but I'm not going to drive for an hour back and forth because he refuses. So when I saw a voicemail was left, I checked the voicemail. He's talking to me in a very familiar tone as if we know each other, but I have no idea who this is. So I call him back, and I'm trying to figure out who he is. And he starts telling me about this computer problem. You know, you worked on my computer. Yeah, you and hundreds of others. Okay. I have a Dell. Okay. You need to, like I'm telling him, I still don't know who you are. And he starts explaining the killer network card problem. Oh, I know exactly who you are. Okay, now I'm with you. I see. What's going on? You know, I didn't go into it negative at all. I had no idea who he was or why he was calling. And once he left a voicemail, I knew he wasn't a scammer or a spammer, so I returned his call. And I expected him to appreciate the, as far as I'm concerned, brilliant advice I've given him. To have him resist it in such a strong way was very bizarre. I did not see that coming. And as I was telling him over and over again, it occurred to me, we've already done this 1.5 years ago. We've had this exact same discussion, and he manipulated me. I allowed him to, into doing it his way. But fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So I saw this repeating pattern, and I said, stop. Carey, don't do it again. You warned him. Before accommodating him, you warned him. He didn't listen then. You warned him this was going to happen again. He refused to accept that. 1.5 years later, it's happened again, and we're right back to square one again, which we shouldn't have been if he'd have listened to me 1.5 years earlier. So if we repeat this again, he's just going to keep calling every single time there's a change. So I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to go around in circles. He can go around in circles all he wants, but he'll do it without me. And that's where my frustration is. And I've already had this experience, right? Everything I told you was going to happen, happened. I just couldn't predict when. And I'm telling you, it's going to, if you keep going down this road, you're just going to do it. And again, it's as if he has no recollection of the past, has no idea of how he got here, and he refuses to acknowledge that that this is not a permanent fix. And I told him, I said, look, if I knew what the answer was, if it was, you know, he's making it out like it was a simple thing. It might have been a simple thing, but I don't remember. If I did, I'd tell you. It's not like I'm permanently, you know, intentionally withholding information from you. I don't remember what the fix was. I have to start all over again from zero. And I don't want to go through all that again because I remember it was days and days of research, and Doug Betts and I were talking about it because he was coincidentally having a similar problem with a network card. I believe it was a killer network card. And neither Doug nor myself, so far as I can tell, can remember what the hell that fix was. I haven't seen one since then, so it's been over 18 months. And I was just trying to get him to understand I'm not withholding information. I honestly don't know what it is. I don't remember. But if it's that important to you and you want to pursue it, you have the internet, knock yourself out. But you know, $15 network USB card, you're done, permanent, forever. Never have this problem again. Don't know what else to tell you. I'm sorry it's not what you want to hear. I'm not trying to be difficult. I don't understand your logic and reasoning on this. But if you really want to go down that route, I'm sure you could find another tech that'd be happy to do that for you. I'm not that guy. I will not do it. And that's that. Even me just telling you the story takes a half an hour. That's how long this phone call was.
John Lewis says, well, if he still watches you, maybe he'll listen. I don't think he watches me. And if he does, he may not after this. But it's an example of a behavior that is not sustainable in business. That's a hobbyist mentality. If you want to be a hobbyist and you want to hang out with your friends and toy around with your toys, have fun with it. If you consider your computer a tool, this is not a joke or to be toyed with. It's an important tool. And if your internet connection is that important to you, $15 is nothing. He'll spend more than that on lunch. And it'll be a permanent fix that'll last for years and years and years. He also should have replaced that computer. He should have never had me fix it a year and a half ago. He should have just replaced it, and he wouldn't do that either. So if you know more than me, why are you asking me for help? It doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to argue over who knows more than the other. I don't care. You called me, you asked me, you're refusing the help, and you want to do it another way. Well, go do it another way. Don't ask me to do it your way. That's not how this works. I'm not aware of many services that do that. You're going to tell a plumber how to unclog your drain? Probably not going to work out for you. I'll tell you to call another plumber. This is how we do it. You don't like how we do it? Call someone else. It's not personal. It's disrespectful, but it's not personal. And he says, obviously it was more about what he wanted and less about fixing his computer. Yeah. He was principle-based. And principle-based is very rarely profitable. So if you're a hobbyist, it means you're spending money on your hobby. You can be principle-based all day long. But if you're trying to run a sustainable business and get your bills paid at the end of the month, principle-based isn't going to keep your electricity on. Eugene Hidalgo joins us and says hello. Glenn's Music said, here's your phone call. I've got a problem with my computer and I'd like you to listen to my solutions to it. That happens all the time. People don't even realize they're doing it. Let me tell you what I think it is. It's like going to a doctor because you went on WebMD. So the doctor's the one with the education and the experience. And in disrespecting that by suggesting you know the solution to your own problem without allowing the doctor to come to their own conclusion, you want to attempt to steer or affect their decision. Is the worst kind of care you can ever get from a doctor, by the way, is if you try and manipulate the doctor. Because you may not realize it, but you may be manipulating the doctor. The best thing you can do is keep your thoughts to yourself. Wait for the doctor to come up with their own solutions or their own conclusions based on your symptoms that you're describing and what they're seeing in real life. And then see if it's what you thought they were going to say. And if it is, then you can say, oh, that's what I thought it was. But at least you didn't guide or steer that answer. That is a pure answer that was not led by a string or potentially led a bias because for some reason it was really important to you to tell the doctor first. If I were you, unless it's a pre-existing condition, keep it to yourself and wait and see what the doctor says, and then see how that compares to what you thought you were going to say. Because in my experience, what you're doing is you're saving yourself from looking like an idiot, and your appointment won't be so long because you're there wasting the doctor's time. And you're suggesting you don't even need the doctor, which is another offensive thing. All that time and work and school and practice, and now you're just going to tell a doctor how to do their job. It's really offensive, and it ultimately just eats up a lot of wasted time. You can get in and out a lot faster if you just keep your thoughts to yourself, answer the questions that are asked honestly, and then if you have follow-up questions or concerns in that visit, and you want to mention, well, I was thinking it could be this, that would be the appropriate time, is if you're getting answers that you're not expecting, to dive in deeper. And if you want to be a doctor, it's not too late. You can go to school now and be a doctor. But if you just want to be a specialist in your own conditions,
I don't know, man. You don't know what you don't know. That's the problem. Lynn's Music says, don't make your GP become Dr. GPT. Peter said, I had something like that recently. I was going to make a PC with a new installation, suddenly said, why don't you use the shift key? I said, if you know it so well, then do it yourself. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that. It's been a while since I've had a customer, like I have customers tell me what they think the problem is. I'm sure I've got bad RAM. I'm sure I've got a bad power supply. And so what I've learned in talking to customers is to say, well, you might be right, or it could be something else entirely unrelated. I won't know that until I put it on my bench with, I have specialty tools that you don't have, and I use them all the time. And then I can get down to the nitty-gritty of it and find out if in fact, it is what you think it is. But it very well could be something else entirely. So, this is what I do. I remind them, this is what I do. Your computer problem is not any different than any other computer problem I've ever seen. And when I get it on the bench and I give it my regular diagnosis with the specialty tools and experience I have, I'll give you a call back and I'll let you know what I find. Sound good? And that's a less abrasive way of basically telling people, don't micromanage me. If you don't trust me, hire somebody you trust. I'm okay with that. If you know how to do it yourself, I'm okay with that too. Go ahead. But if you called me and you want my help, then please let me help you. If you're not going to let me help you, you're wasting both of our times. But I won't say it like that. I used to, but I've found a more effective means of communication by letting people, they might be disrespecting me and not realize it, and you might be disrespecting them and not realize it. So I give them you could be right. I mean, I really don't know. You could absolutely be right. But I don't know that yet. So I need to still do my job the same way regardless. And I'll let you know what it is. And if it is what you think it is, very good. And if it isn't, very good. Who cares? Can I get to work now, or do we want to talk about it some more? Al Perez said he called a plumber to unclog his washing machine drain pipe, charged me all this money, and still didn't work. Yeah, well, I think when a company comes out to do a service, you need to ask ahead of time, are you still going to charge me if your repair is not complete or if you're not repairing it? And some companies may have a legitimate, yeah, we got gas and time in the car regardless. And other companies will say, oh no, if we can't fix it, we won't charge, or we'll come back again for free and we'll send somebody else to take a look at it. We'll take care of you. These are questions to ask before hiring any service, by the way. And he said, life is a lot better when we learn assertive behavior. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, if you have no self-confidence and you let people push you around, it's not a fun way to live life. But there's a difference between assertive and aggressive, and assertive is good, aggressive, not so good. So I agree with you, and a good choice of words there. John Lewis says, as an automobile service advisor, I was requested to write the repair order directing the technician. I'd say, I can only write down the issue, not the solution. And then I'd ask, do you understand why? That's fair. Mark Leibowitz said he had someone call him once saying he thought he had a bad RAM. Turned out he thought I was an auto mechanic. How do you have a Dodge Ram? Are you dodging or are you ramming? These are two very different things.
David Graham said, I told a guy I didn't want to work on his computer and he had a big fit. I had to throw him out. Yeah, well, welcome to business, you know, especially you have a retail place and you have somebody who's being disruptive or interfering with your ability to work, and you have to call the police and have them trespassed off the property, and they don't seem to understand the difference between private property and public property. I see that on YouTube. I see people that think that my channel belongs to them. And I'm certainly more than happy to share my channel. But for somebody to just come up and take it as though they have a right to say there's, you know, to stand on my stage and to speak to my audience that I have built from nothing just to insult me and disparage me. This is in that case, this is mine, and your YouTube channel is yours. You go over to your YouTube channel and you can complain about me all you want. The reason they don't do that is they don't have any viewers. They want to use my own viewers. It's a very scumbag thing to do. And it's very common here on YouTube. And I set them right. I go, look, you're a guest here. You're welcome here. I always assume the best of intent from people until you prove me wrong, and then you're gone. Or you can't kick me out. Oh, yes, I can. Well, I paid for this computer and I paid for this internet connection. Yeah, and I paid for my TV. It doesn't mean I get HBO for free now, does it? So either be kind or get lost, or we'll kick you out. But you have to earn. You have to earn that that low bar. I assume nobody's low enough to behave that way. When you come in, come on in, welcome, it's nice to meet you. And when people come out with spitting venom and just being nasty, they're sick. There's something wrong with them. And that's a very contagious disease. So in order to protect the community, we're not letting them put poison in our community well and then poison everybody. It's not their well. If they want to drink out of it, they're welcome to drink out of it. If they intend to poison it, we don't have any choice. In order to save the community, we need to just get them removed if their behavior is not voluntarily corrected. They're not offering any value to us. And it's unfortunate that that's the society we live in today. But so a lot of sick people, a lot of people that have mental health issues that aren't even aware of it. I would think most people with mental health issues have no clue. And if you suggest maybe get an independent opinion, no, it's offensive to them because they have mental health issues. It's a crazy world. It's a crazy world. But we're so glad we have the community we have here. And we do filter those people out. And they have no right to be here. But they're always welcome here if they're kind, just like anybody else. And that should be common sense and common courtesy. But it isn't. So here we are. It'd be great if we had some cooperation from YouTube on this, but YouTube makes the money just the same either way. So they don't want to give up any revenue. Not their problem. Viper joins us and says happy Halloween. Frank Jimmy said, Carey, sometimes I get calls from people asking if I fix computers in the car engines. I say, no, that's an auto mechanic. I've never had anybody ask me if I could reprogram a engine control unit or anything like that. But I'm not surprised. Flynn in Arizona says, Carey, are you excited Phoenix is getting a micro center? I couldn't be any less excited, honestly. It's like, Carey, are you excited Blockbuster Video is going to open in Phoenix and you can go rent some VHS tapes? No, I'm not. I enjoyed Blockbuster Video during the days of VHS rental tapes. I have no desire to ever go back in one again. Micro Center, first of all, is going to be a half an hour away from where I live in Phoenix. Phoenix is a very large place. I think Maricopa County, how many square miles? 9,000 square miles. I mean, I'm not sure you understand the scale of things here, but I'm not sure I understand it. It's so big. Maricopa County. square miles. How big is it? 9,222 square miles. All right, so I want you to picture the size of, granted, Maricopa County encompasses Phoenix and other cities, but that's the suburbs primarily of Phoenix. And 9,222 square miles. Now, what's fascinating, to me anyway, if we just look at the square miles of Phoenix, let's just put it to you that way. Phoenix square miles. Phoenix is about 500 square miles, a little more. Just the city of Phoenix, not the suburbs, just the main, that one city. The city I grew up in, which was a suburb of Detroit, it's called Oak Park, Michigan. .16 square miles. I rode my bike from one end of Oak Park to the other every day, not a big deal. This was a big change for me growing up, because you think of Detroit, you might think of a big city, but even Detroit itself, compared to Phoenix, is only 139 square miles, or about 1/3 the size of Phoenix. So the scale of things here is massive, and that micro center, yeah, it's in Phoenix, but Phoenix is big. It's way too far away. And I don't see any reason why I would ever shop there, because I have Amazon now. I used to go to a local distributor for manufacturers, for OEM computer manufacturers. And I would drive maybe 20 minutes to get there. And it sucked to go back and forth to go pick up parts and be limited by inventory. And the benefit was I could go there and get it same day, help a client out, get the job done and move on. Now I can order off Amazon, and I can have the product in many cases the same day or the next day. I have much more selection of product to choose from. I can shop 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The product gets delivered to my front door with free 30-day returns that, once again, I can send back at no cost. I don't have to go wait in a customer service line and park the car and drive in 110-degree weather. For me, if Micro Center had opened up in the 1990s or early 2000s, I probably would have been all over it. But they're just too late now. I don't see Micro Center offering anything special I can't just get on Amazon without the hassle of driving there and walking around and trying to find it and hoping it's in stock and then waiting at the cashier and then checking out. And if I get it home, it doesn't work, I get to get back in the car, drive all the way across town again. But that's just me being an old man, I guess. Why would I want to go back to that? We used to have a Fry's electronics store, and very close by. And that Fry's electronics store was always fun to walk through, but I wouldn't drive a half an hour to go there. So Micro Center, if I'm bored one day and I'm looking for something to do, out of curiosity, just walk around and check it out. But, you know, look, we did this at CompUSA and Circuit City, and geez, I mean, Fry's Electronics, I don't see anything new. This is just old coming back from my perspective. So am I excited about Micro Center? No. And if I wanted to, I could go to microcenter.com and order something. So I still don't have to get in the car and drive. I think I ordered the Samsung Galaxy Book 3 is the only time I've ever ordered anything from Micro Center. And I probably ordered it out of, I don't know, Georgia. And they just mail it to me the same as Amazon. I don't see any reason to go old school and walk around inside of a place. But yeah, I'm not excited by it at all. I think Mara is, but I have much better pricing overall, much better selection overall, and much more convenience. At 2 o'clock in the morning, if I want to order a solid state drive or something, I go on Amazon, I click the mouse, and quite often I have it the next day. How does it get any better than that? And David Graham mentions that Micro Center also sells on Amazon too. I never even thought of that.
Andrew joining us in the chat says, thank you for helping me yesterday with my product key with your promo code. My pleasure, Andrew. I'm glad to hear it worked out for you. Talking about URCD keys. It's where I get my Windows and Office license keys. And Andrew was still using the older links that it used to work, and they're just not working anymore. And he's like, yeah, these used to work. I go, I know. That's why we changed it, because they're not working anymore. So anyway, got him up to speed. And of course, we always have those links in our most recent videos, right? So if you're curious about where I'm getting my legitimate legal license keys for Microsoft Windows and Office, you're going to pay the same price I pay. It's what represents my business and my clients, so it's not anything shady, because I'm not going to roll the dice on the success of my business to save a few dollars on a license key. I need the support. URCD Keys has 6 months of support, so that you're definitely not going to get scammed. I always have this image I'll show of their website. So if you click on the link, you'll see their site looks like this. I'll have to get some updated images, because that's from September, and the prices do fluctuate because of the foreign exchange rates, the value of the dollar. And it's a very simple process. It's very straightforward. And if you ever run into any problems, you just reach out to them and they'll help you. If you still run into problems, you reach out to me, and I guarantee your problem will be solved. Promise you, even if I have to personally refund your money. That's how strongly I believe in them. And you will likely never find a content creator on YouTube that makes that same offer, unless it's something they're selling you. I'm not selling this. If you buy it, I don't make any money from it if you buy it. And yet I am so confident that you're going to have a positive experience that if you give them a chance to fix any issue, assuming there would even be an issue, and they're still not making it right, and you have to reach out to me, I'm telling you, I will make it right, period. It stops here. It doesn't go any further. Now, if I'm turning around and having to deal with problems all the time and refunding people's money all the time, you think I'm going to keep endorsing their product? Of course not. So they're going to be highly motivated to help you should there be any problems, and chances are there isn't going to be, which is what Andrew was telling us. Once he had the updated link, he went through the process and everything worked out like it should. And they have to offer our viewers a discount. If they want to say all your viewers can pay the same as anybody that searches us with Google, we won't work with them. So I'm not an easy guy, you know, to give those endorsements out. And that's why you don't see them very often. But sometimes these companies change ownership, or they have internal issues and they have to switch things around. I have no idea what's going on. But as long as it's all legit, it's all on the up and up, I'm good to go. And unless I have any evidence otherwise, again, I always assume positive intent, and I believe in them for whatever that's worth. But I'll put my money where my mouth is on that. So I appreciate the feedback, Andrew, and I'm glad you took advantage of the offer, the coupon code, and everything. Lynn says Micro Center does not ship. Well, then how did they ship my laptop to me? Have you gone to microcenter.com? I don't think you have. But maybe you live somewhere where they don't ship to. I don't know. So the laptop I ordered for Micro Center online, that was shipped to me from Micro Center online, that didn't happen? Is that what you're telling me? None of that's real, Carey. That's not a real laptop, and that wasn't a real package. Thanks for letting me know. I'm pretty sure Micro Center ships, but hey, you know, maybe the earth is flat. Mara says Incredible Universe was her amusement park of choice. Ah, yes, from Radio Shack, the Incredible Universe. What a disaster that was. It was a fun place to walk around. Mark Leibowitz says he likes buying at Micro Center in Chicago. I find their in-store prices around the same as Amazon's, often a little bit better. And I have a client down that way. Yeah, well, if Micro Center was down the street,
or on my way to somewhere else, you know, I'd still probably order off Amazon, but I might be more curious as to daily pricing and inventory if I wanted to. But to go out of my way to go there, no. That was the same with Incredible Universe. It was clear on the other side of town. It was such a big amusement park, basically, of electronics. It was worth the trip to spend the day like at Disneyland. But I didn't go there often. And a lot of times I bought complete nonsense that I didn't even know I was going to buy when I walked in the door. They had such a massive store, so much selection. Yeah. And those were the days before Amazon, quite frankly, or Amazon was only selling books at that time. Hey, there's Frankie B joining us. Oh, he's taken off. Well, I didn't even see you in there, Frankie. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good night, my friend. Mikeman says around here, Micro Center's own website shows pickup only for many items. Yeah, but it's not for all items. They do ship. In fact, you know, what if we just go take a look at it? Let's open up the browser and let's go to my display. No, I want display, I want window capture. There we go. And let's just go to Micro Center and see what it looks like. It kind of doesn't make any sense to have a website if you're not going to ship anything, does it? All right, so here's a laptop. It's $1,099. Oh, maybe I want to buy that, but there's not a Micro Center open yet. Oh, it's already located me in Phoenix, says it's temporary closed. Well, that's because it was never open. Okay. So let's see, if I want to order, how about this laptop? Continue shopping, view list, where's the checkout? All right, let's continue shopping. Somewhere I should have a shopping cart. And do I have to sign in? 18-minute pickup and shippable items only. So yeah, they're going to have some items they sell local only, but they absolutely do ship for sure. Depends what it is. I think they sometimes have like in-store sales. In order to get that price, you have to go in the store. But for most things, they'll ship things. For most items, they do ship most items. Anyway, regardless, I'm still not shopping there. But yeah, they do ship. Mark Leibowitz said he recently ordered a laptop from Micro Center for a client. The shipping cost was $60. Plus, I can't use my tax exempt status for online orders, but it still costs less than an hour of my time. Yeah. Well, and I can't speak for that. I don't think I paid any shipping on the laptop when I ordered it from Micro Center. I'd have to go back through my emails and look. If so, it was at such a discounted price, I couldn't find a. I wanted to order it from Amazon just because it's a known, familiar experience. But I really wanted that. That was that ARM-based laptop from Samsung, and I still have it. Right now, I'm barely using it, but for a while there, I was using a lot of remote access for clients, and I wanted to have a separate laptop for that, and I wanted to also have an excuse for playing around with the ARM-based, you know, the Snapdragon-based Windows. And the battery life on it is extraordinary, but I should probably blow the dust off of it and get some updates put on there, shouldn't I? Because I will. It kind of comes and goes in waves, where customers are going to need a lot of support, like all at once, and then customers get real quiet. For the onesie twosies, I'll just use my regular work laptop. But if there's like I got to go through 10 or 15 machines remotely to do an update or something, I'd like to be able to not be at my desk and to not be down here on the bench, but rather just be on the bed watching TV with the laptop by my side and then
click Windows Update and kind of keep an eye on the side of my eye. And I can connect to 3, 4, 5 computers at the same time. And then the only thing is I have to lift the laptop up off the bed a little bit because it will start to get really hot by blocking the ventilation from having it just sitting on bed sheets. You need to kind of get it up a little bit. And sometimes I'll just put a book under it, just tilt the back up. That's all it needs. If I don't do that, I'm reminded when I go to reach for it and it's really hot. I've never had it like beep at me or shut down, but I've had it be worryingly warm. And I'm like, okay, I forgot I need to kind of kick this thing up a little bit. And with that battery life being what it is, you know, I can sit there and watch TV laying in bed and just look over, see how the updates are doing, click the different tabs, restart. Makes it super easy. So I've got my bench, I've got my desk where I do all the typical administrative stuff. And then for a while, I was really using the laptop in bed quite a bit, but I haven't done that in a few months. The laptop's been just put away until I need it. I just haven't needed it. But that's the laptop I got from Micro Center. Yes, you are going to see an increase in RAM and solid state drive pricing. You're going to start seeing price increases for NASs, for mini PCs, anything, phones, anything that uses RAM or NAND storage. Right now, because of the rapidly demanding growth of AI, it's sort of like when the whole cryptocurrency craze was buying up graphics cards. Well, we're going through this whole thing all over again. Only instead of graphics cards now, what people are buying up for AI is a lot of RAM and a lot of storage. As a result, manufacturers just can't make it fast enough. They're backlogged for about a year. We're about 30% higher than we were in pricing, and that could go double that in the coming months. Eventually it'll saturate out, but right now it's ramping up, all this AI development requiring a lot of hardware. It's all ramping up because it's new and exciting. Just like cryptocurrency was new and exciting, and not so new and exciting anymore for most people. All those mining rigs and video cards they bought, they can't practically even give them away now. This is just more of the same. A little bit of patience. Give it 6 months, maybe a year, everything will be back to the way it was. And if you're thinking about doing a RAM or storage upgrade, it's only going to get more expensive for the next year. That's my prediction. I could be wrong, but that appears to be the trajectory. So bite the bullet and pay the extra now. Otherwise, put off your upgrade for a year. If you've got RAM or storage laying around that you want to sell, wait a few months for the prices to keep going up. That'll be a good time for you to sell that stuff because you'll get more money for it. So there's a pro and a con. Take advantage of whatever way the river's flowing, man. Let it do the work for you. And just, you know, if you're impatient and you want something now, then you'll pay the now price. That's all. Just like anything else. Gold prices go up. Not a good time to buy gold. NVIDIA just became the first $5 trillion company. They have a market cap. If you sold every bit of stock, it would sell for $5 trillion. I don't think there's ever been a company that's been a $5 trillion company in the history of Wall Street. Will it go to 6, 7, 8, or is it just going to fall? I don't know. I'm definitely not the right guy to ask about stuff like that. It was at 3 trillion. I don't recall it ever hitting 4. That's the weird thing. It's pretty amazing. Microsoft, Apple, NVIDIA were all $3 trillion companies. And all of a sudden, NVIDIA leapfrogged and went to 5. What happened? I was just sleeping. I woke up. And its value is almost double what it was. Crazy.
If you had $3 trillion, now let's do it this way. I want you to, let's do this together. Let me open up a browser here. This is such a large number, it's really hard to put it in perspective. If I had $5 trillion and I spent $1 million per day, how many days would it take before I ran out of money? You sitting down? It would take about 37.5 years to run out of $5 trillion spending $1 million per day. So 13,698 days. Think about this. How many years is 13,000, what was it, 698? That corresponds to 2,738 years. I think there's quite a few lifetimes in that number. Think about that. Will I go back to eating the bottom of what's left of my box of Cheez-Its? Oh, getting every little crumb out of there. $1 million a day for 2,700 years. Great. It's sobering, I'll tell you that. Those numbers are just insane. And it may not be done growing. Seagate, Andy says Seagate has a factory recertified 24 terabyte enterprise drive for $279. Yeah, it's a good price. Those work just fine in a NAS, by the way. David Graham says that those are just numbers. Getting the cash is not easy. Oh, if it were easy, everybody would be doing it. So just a heads up, we're going to see the typical. So this time of year, by the way, they start talking about Black Friday sales, they being the manufacturers, like teasing things on Twitter and other social media. I think Minis Forum has a Halloween sale going on, and then they'll have a Black Friday, for example, maybe a Cyber Monday specials. And then before you know it, and it's already starting, I'm already getting stuff in my inbox for the Consumer Electronics Show, which is the first week of January, I want to say, about the first week of January every year. And they keep asking me if I'm going to go. And every year I'm like, I don't want to go. And especially seeing what Las Vegas has done to itself, it's more expensive than ever to go to Las Vegas. More restaurants are closed now than ever has happened in my whole lifetime. I've never seen it in such a state of bankruptcies. And well, it's not empty. Don't get me wrong. You still go to Vegas. It's full of people. You still want to check into the hotel. There's still going to be a line. But that line is about 20% less than what that line used to be. And it may not seem like much to you as a person there, except when you look at the cars going up and down the strip. If you're familiar with it, it's
They're not bumper to bumper anymore like they used to be. It used to be bumper to bumper for miles, maybe bumper to bumper, a little bit here, a little bit there. But and then later at night, it's maybe even wide open. And it's sad to see it this way. Consumer Electronics Show, it's going to sell out a lot of hotels because it's really intended for business media. It's not intended for consumers. This is an industry show. So people that are buyers for companies will go to look at potential products their company might want to buy in bulk, and the media. And the problem is, in my opinion, the problem I have with it is to claim you're media, you just say you're media. So nothing's keeping the consumers out. It's overcrowded, it's overpriced, it's difficult to get around, and all the media that's there are all going to cover everything that I would cover if I was there. So what's the point of me going? That's my problem with it. Now, if somebody wants to foot the bill and pay for the hotel room and the travel cost and the food, and I'm basically doing it for free, I still don't want to do it. I need to make some money at that. And then when it's all said and done, I'm still going to provide the same features of hardware that everybody else that's there is already doing. There's really nothing I can showcase that nobody else is really showcasing because it's oversaturated with media. As a result, I don't get too excited about it. I go, here we go again with, what is increasingly becoming more about televisions than it is about computers and technology. Here's some Bluetooth this and some Bluetooth that, and here's a big screen TV, and it's just the same over and over and over again. And then you have like PepCon, and you have these little smaller events with the smaller, oftentimes Chinese manufacturers that are kind of in their own hall, and you'll see the strangest stuff there, which I do find quite entertaining and sometimes inspiring. But again, that used to be kind of off to the side and not really talked about. These days, the main floor isn't much to talk about, so what choice do you have but to go check out the other halls and see the stuff of the path less traveled? So even that's being oversaturated by media. Those kind of exciting days of, the stereo Sound Blaster AW64 announcement there at CES and all the new technologies, MP3 players, it's all done. So now it's just a lot of the same old thing. It's mostly a TV show at this point. And then they'll have a bunch of cars there for some reason, even though the SEMA Auto Show is a whole different thing. For whatever reason, they kind of double it up when they kind of mix it into CES, and then on top of that, they have their own show. Then usually after that, you'll have the NAB, or National Association of Broadcasters, where it's all a bunch of radio, television podcasters, now mostly podcasters, talking about the industry. And then after that, there's like a gun show. I think they still do that. And then after that, it's just expo after expo all year round. And it all starts with CES at the beginning of the year. And I don't like going to any of them. They're all overpriced. They're all overcrowded. And now it's worse than it's ever been. I've never seen resort fees of $65 a night when you're not using any of the resort other than a room. And your $99 room after taxes and resort fees is $200. Those resort fees are out of control. And it's bothering me that they call some of these places resorts. The Stratosphere is not a resort. It's pretty lowly. There are some really nice places like the Bellagio, Caesar's Palace. Those are resorts. MGM has raised their resort fee twice in 2025 or 2024. They raised it twice. It's a $10 resort fee. Who cares? And they're saying, well, with the resort fee, you get free Wi-Fi for up to 2 devices. Oh, how generous of you. By the way, I could bring my little GLI portable mini router and just use one free hotel Wi-Fi and connect it to as many computers as I want. But how generous of you. And then they talk about access to, I guess, maybe the gym or something, or laundry. Like, what? I'm not here to go to the gym or do laundry. Maybe the pool? I have a pool. So you don't get to say, oh, I'm not going to use any of the amenities. I just want the room. No, you can't opt out of it. No, that's built into the price. And if you don't pay it, you can go somewhere else and everybody else has no vacancy. So you're screwed. Or you can get in the car and drive a few miles away from the Las Vegas Strip, find a Motel 6 or something. It'd be reasonable. I mean, your car might get broken into, but price will be good. Tell us how you really feel. Well, I hope Vegas gets their act put together before it's too late, because people don't have to go to Vegas to gamble anymore. I can pull up FanDuel or whatever and gamble right on my phone if that was what I was into, which I'm not, because I'm not good at it. As far as entertainment, entertainers come to Phoenix all the time. I don't have to go to Vegas to see them. So all the reasons for going to Vegas, all the spectacular part of Vegas, they want to charge you to park your car. At the hotel, you're paying, let's say you get a cheap room at $99, and after resort fees and taxes, it's $200. That's cheap. But that same hotel will say it's $25 a day to park your car, even though you're staying there. They don't care. The nickel and diming that they're doing is so egregious. It's so over the top. Even Dr. Evil would go, oh, I think that's a bit too far. So I'm not participating in it for all of those reasons. But I'll read the same news stories, and if there's something that catches my eye, I'll share it with you guys, but I'm not going to go through all that trouble. It's a 5-hour drive from here each way, and that's 10 hours of life behind the wheel of a car to go to work. Been there, done that. Scott said it's a nice view from the top of the stratosphere. You got to pay. So even if you paid your room and you pay the resort fee and you pay to park your car, I don't know if you have to pay to park at Stratosphere. If you want to go to the top, you got to pay for that. I think it's $30 a person or something. Same with the Eiffel Tower replica there at the Paris Hotel. I think it's $35 a person to go to the top. And there's a restaurant up there, and if you want to eat up there, that's another couple $100. Anyway, too rich for my blood. If I did that, I'd have even less than what I have now, which ain't that much. There is a vintage computer convention, but it seems to be mostly located either on the East Coast or the Heartland. There doesn't seem to be one anywhere close to Phoenix, and I would enjoy going. I've never been to one before. I guess I haven't been old enough. Things weren't yet vintage, so now they have these vintage computer expos. And I've been watching some content creators that focus on vintage computers, showing their experiences. And I was like, wow, if that was closer, I would love to go. But I'm not going to drive for multiple states to go to a pretty small convention just to have a little nostalgia when I can watch it for free in HD because a content creator has gone through all the expense and trouble to do it. But if it was close by, it was reasonably close by, I would absolutely go. Mark Leibowitz said, Carey, I think the closest vintage computer festival would be VCS Southwest, which I think is in Texas. Yeah, I think you're right. There may be one in California. But California and Texas They in and of themselves represent multiple states in just the size of the state. California could easily be divided into 3 separate United States, and Texas could be divided into about 5. And don't even get me started with Alaska. Texas was the largest state of the United States until we got Alaska. Because everything's bigger in Texas, so don't even talk about Alaska there. Mark Leibowitz mentions a VCF Midwest that's held in the western suburbs of Chicago. Yeah, I think that's the one I recently saw a video on. It looked really good. And I love Chicago. I love Chicago. Very friendly people there. And, you know, I'm from Detroit, and the culture is very similar. If anything, people in Detroit are wonderful, by the way. People in Chicago, nicest city I've ever been to. Friendliest city. Least friendliest city, Idaho. Or I guess Idaho's not a city. I was in, what city was I in Idaho? Pocatello? I can't remember. And I never saw ruder people in my life on the freeways, the way they drive, the way they treat you. You go into a restaurant to order some food. There's just, not everybody, but like just overwhelmingly a negative, aggressive unpleasantness that's given off by, that's what I sensed when, maybe I went on a bad day, okay? But for the couple of days I was there, it was very, felt like I was not welcome there. That was the vibe. There were some nice people, don't get me wrong. There were some nice people. But in Chicago, I never got a negative vibe from anybody the whole time I was there. And I've been there multiple times. Never once have gotten anything but friendliness. 100%. I wasn't on the south side of Chicago, but I'm just saying. Mark's like, Carey, if you want to arrange to be out here next September for the VCF, I'm sure we can arrange that. I appreciate it, but I wouldn't go that far for VCF. It's nostalgia, you know. It's there's not a lot of news in it. It's old news, I suppose. It's just one of those things. If it were convenient, I would absolutely go for sure. And I appreciate the offer there. Dennis was asking Andy if he updated his Nano KVM Pro, and Andy says yes, but after getting it updated and Wi-Fi configured, it did not want to remember all that. It will not let me. It will not tell me the IP address now, and the clock is wrong again. Huh. I think it's a learning curve. Andy says he'll factory reset it maybe tomorrow and see if that resets everything. I didn't have those kind of frustrations. I mean, we did have the time zone frustration, but then with the update, it fixed it. I've had very easy connecting it to Wi-Fi, no problems. I don't have any special characters in my Wi-Fi. I mean, I do have numbers, letters, and symbols, but I don't have special characters. So I'm sort of dumbfounded. I just think you're doing something differently, but I don't know. But you know, we're always available to help you if you're looking for any guidance. I've got a few of those Nano KVM Pros here. They're definitely not perfect. They're far from perfect, but as far as basic functionality goes, you know, I'm having a problem with the screen turning black on the Nano KVM Pro after the update, but no problem with the clock and no problem with the Wi-Fi. And why I keep putting these glasses back, I keep looking over at the chat room and I'm having a hard time seeing it. So, well, this is an unusual Friday show for us to just kind of hang out and talk. I want to emphasize that the traditional Friday show is going to be tomorrow, Saturday. And Cyber CPU Tech, if I pull up, let's do this. We'll go to YouTube. And if you're not familiar with Cyber CPU Tech, let me introduce you and you guys can get to know him a little bit so you'll know who he is when he comes on the show tomorrow. Let's do a capture of, so we'll just go to Microsoft Edge. Set that up. And we'll just type in Cyber CPU Tech. And this is Rich's channel here. And talking about YouTube tech channels are in danger. YouTube still might delete his channel. This isn't exaggeration. Like, this is a very serious concern, because if YouTube's claiming he did something that he didn't do, and they won't tell him what it is he supposedly did, and they will deny his appeal without so much as reading it, and if it happens 2 more times, they delete his channel. This is a very serious concern for all of us as tech channels. And it's not just happened to Rich, it's happened to many others, including our friend Ask Your Computer Guy. I think Doug Betts was hit by this a while back. A few others.
You have an email. Oh.
Okay. Thank you. But Rich, much like myself, runs a computer repair business, and he has a YouTube channel. And if you've not subscribed or checked him out, I highly recommend it. Now, if we go to Ask Your Computer Guy, he's also suffering yet another problem. And that is people stealing content and posting it as a TikTok channel. And Scott says, I don't have a TikTok account, but this person is stealing all of his YouTube content, republishing it on TikTok and collecting the money that it earns without Scott's consent. It is theft. And Scott has reached out to TikTok and said, that's not me. He's asking his viewers to report the channel on TikTok, and TikTok refuses to take that channel down or to give Scott the money. It's just falling on deaf ears. So we're really running into some disparagement as content creators for all the different ways between the scammers and the bots, and then YouTube attacking us, and then people stealing our content and profiting off of it. That makes you want to not do it anymore. I mean, would you? Would you put up with this and keep fighting just because you want to make some videos and they're going to make it so hard? See, these are Scott's videos under the shorts. But listen, we're not 14 years old. If you see somebody more than 14 years old on TikTok, that's suspicious. So it's no surprise to me that anybody over 14 years old is saying, hey, I don't have a TikTok account. In the same way that it's not surprising to me that somebody that's 14 years old would have a Facebook account. Very unlikely. TikTok's for the children, Facebook's for the adults. That being said, it's not a universal rule or anything, but it's an overwhelming numbers game in that regard. And it's definitely something worth considering if you wonder where, if a content creator is authentic or not, or they're being ripped off. So if we take a look at, let's see, Star Talk, on top of all of this, Neil deGrasse Tyson, who I admire, I really appreciate his ability to explain complicated things. We'll get through this ad here. posts a video where he really believes that the earth could be flat. Except what you're looking at is not Neil deGrasse Tyson. That is not him. That is not his voice. And he never said these words. That looks like him though, doesn't it? But look, it's not him. That is an AI-generated video. And the title of the video here is "It's Getting Harder to Know What's Real." Okay, so now as a content creator, you have to deal with AI fake, having you do things you never did and say things you never said. You deal with people stealing your content and stealing your money, misrepresenting you and profiting from it. And you deal with YouTube themselves attacking your channel, executing absurd false allegations with no recourse or appeal process that's genuine or sincere, and may just steal your money themselves. You want to start a YouTube channel? Is this a really good time? Seriously, do you want to start a YouTube channel? Knowing all of this, would you even bother to start? You can use AI services to animate photos. And so right now with Grok, if you download the Grok app, which is part of Twitter or X, you can take a photo and yeah, I should be able to show this to you. I was trying to demonstrate this. You may remember Lyle, a member of our channel, my co-host. And you know, cancer got him a few years back. And this is one of the pictures we have of him. But using Grok, I can tell Grok to take that photo and tell it what I want Grok to do. And I can animate this picture within seconds. We hit the play button. And I told Grok to make his head tilt back and forth. He never actually did that. That's Grok. And here, I asked Grok to make him dance. And so Grok took that photo and did this with it. That's nothing he's ever done. Now, you can imagine how freaky this is going to get. I asked Grok, just have him walk towards me like he doesn't care. Have the dog walk towards the camera and look around like he doesn't care, because that's something he would have done. That's all done from a still photo. Not multiple angles. It's a still photograph. And Grok is limiting the video to 6 seconds on the free version because they want you to pay for it. And they limit how many photos you can bring to life. I can't wait to see what I'm going to do. I guess the good news is I'm not popular enough for anybody to care. First of all, I'm not popular enough, thankfully, that if anybody could even be bothered to make videos of me saying things I never said or doing things I've never done, that anybody would care enough to watch it because they don't know who I am anyway. So kind of a win-win there. Not that I planned it that way, but it turns out the more popular you are, the more likely you'll be a victim of this. John Williams says he misses Lyle. How's Jimmy doing? Jimmy's doing good. He's getting old, you know, his hips are getting a little arthritic there, but overall, he's doing really good. Thank you for asking. Yeah, you can take a picture. Maybe you've got a picture of yourself from years past, and you can tell Grok to animate that picture for you, and specifically what you want Grok to do with it. So you don't just submit it, and I mean, you can, but you can say, have me do a dance, have me walk into a train. I don't know, walk inside of a train. You can convert the background, the environment, and at least in the 6 seconds of the videos, it's pretty convincing. Sometimes there's little clues with AI, but it keeps getting better every day. And all those little clues are going away. And there's a lot of AI slop videos that are just flooding YouTube right now. Even YouTube is making them, which is competing against genuine content creators like myself for viewers' eyeballs. It's costing YouTube nothing to do it. They just click a button, it just starts producing nonsense. So you've got to be very careful, because if we go back over here to YouTube just to demonstrate, let me jump back over here to our window capture and type in Sora, which is the real popular app right now from OpenAI. Sora 2 gone mad, or going too far, and you'll find a bunch of videos that are 100% AI. There's Hitler and what's his face? Now, normally, oh my gosh, this is just tasteless. That looks like a real commercial for a real toy about a tragedy, which is just disgusting. Here's Mr. Rogers yelling at Bob Ross, and they're getting into a fight. Here's Bob Ross losing his mind because, I don't know, a cat is interfering with his drawing. Here's Mr. Rogers cussing somebody out. Anyway, it's really important you start to recognize what's real from what's fake, because we're really starting to get that now. And thankfully, Sora does watermark the videos with the word Sora. So look around and see if you see the word Sora. Grok did not watermark any of those photos I brought to life. If you didn't know Lyle, if you weren't there when that picture was taken, you wouldn't know that any of that wasn't real. It never happened. And it did that from a photograph, not from like, here's his profile, here's his head, here's his rear end and what his tail. The way the ear hangs when he tilts his head, it somehow knows all that, and it just, it's very convincing. It's just magic. It's freaky. And it's still getting better. It's still becoming more and more imperceptible from reality. So this should get real interesting in the next couple of years. So be aware of it. And yeah, people, Tim Davern mentions people are removing the Sora watermarks. Some people will do that. Yeah, be aware of that too. It's just an indicator that you can look for. Just if you're not certain, if the Sora watermark is there, you can be certain. And likely if you're wondering, I don't know if that's real or not, it probably would be best to default to assuming it's not until there's evidence otherwise. That would be my opinion. What is your opinion on AMD making Radeon 5000 and 6000 GPUs maintenance mode while Radeon 9000 and 7000 remain supported for day one game releases and fixes and such? Well, that goes with every tech product. Every tech product has a serviceable life. And AMD is not a charity. So sooner or later, all products will fall into sunsetting or fall into, I guess AMD's calling it maintenance mode. I don't have an opinion about it. I don't think you're entitled to anything more than what you purchased and the promises that were made. So if AMD said you were going to get support for a certain number of years and that's what you got, they're not obligated anything beyond that. If it bothers you, never buy an AMD product again. But I think you're going to find no matter where you go and who you buy from, companies have employees to pay, and they need to keep those employees doing things that generate profit, or they won't be able to pay the employees, and they won't be able to keep the business open, and there won't be any product for you to buy. So I don't think it's unreasonable. I think it's completely expected. I think AMD has met all their obligations, and everything else was icing on the cake. The fact that they let it go this long was sprinkles that they did not owe you, and I feel like you should be appreciative of the support that you got for the length of time you got it, because it was far longer than they promised. That's what I think about it. But that's just my opinion. You're welcome to disagree. I think if you ever run your own company and you tried to run it in the way that you think is right for the consumer, you won't be in business very long. You'll run out of money. Or you got to get people to sign up like on a subscription to help cover the costs of all that maintenance. So yeah, it's all tech. I'm not aware of any car manufacturer or any technical manufacturer that just continues to support things indefinitely for free. John Williams wants to know if I'll be making any more videos over at Studio A. There's still equipment over there for that reason. Sometimes there's opportunities that come up, and I never quite know when it's going to happen. It's not off the table at all. It very much could still happen, but it's a very limited space, and most of everything I need to do my videos I have here now. I do have duplicates of many things over there, but you know, it's a lot of work. I don't know if you can appreciate the amount of work it is to set up the lighting and the tripods and the cameras and the zoom and the focus and the framing and the microphones and the cables and the PC and the network connection, just so I can make one video and then turn around and break it all back down. And it all has to get put away because it's used so infrequently. If we just let it sit out, it'll be covered in an inch of dust, and then the lens will start making, it won't move smoothly anymore. It'll get dust in the grease and bearings. So everything has to get really put away and covered up. Batteries have to be recharged. That can take a few hours, so there has to be a little planning ahead of time to make sure that microphone batteries, camera batteries, memory cards, things like that. Windows updates need to be applied to the streamer that's been off for a few months. So it's not like I can just go in on a whim and start filming. There has to be some prep work and getting things ready and set up, and then all torn down and put back away. It's a lot of work, but it's mostly, you know, based on opportunity. If there's an opportunity for me to be there and I want to make the most of it, I'm not opposed to doing all the work. It just depends on if life allows me to. Life can sometimes say, look, you know, you've got these other projects more important, so you just do what you need to do and move on. Other times life is pretty slow and we're like, yeah, let's have some fun. And so if those things align, that's wonderful. Are they going to align? I'm sure at some point they will, otherwise I wouldn't keep the stuff over there. But there's nothing planned at this time. Jim Kenny says, I think YouTube should indicate all AI generated content, but they won't. No, why would they? You might not watch it then, and then they won't get paid. Furthermore, if a content creator submits AI generated content and does not voluntarily check the box, how is YouTube going to enforce that? How can YouTube prove it? Am I going to do more cooking videos? Well, again, I don't know. The cooking channel has never done well here on YouTube. And the kitchen is not really, here the kitchen's pretty small, so there's really no room to get equipment in there, and we don't have very good lighting. So trying to film any cooking videos, we'd probably have to get a hot plate and put it here on the bench and do it from here, and then take it all back into the kitchen for cleaning and put it all away till the next video. It would be nice if, you know, we had a bigger kitchen, a better well-lit kitchen, that we could explore those cooking videos, because Mara has some amazing recipes, and we've talked about that as being a potential. However, you never say never. We'll just see what happens, and if it can happen, that'll be great. We're not opposed to it. It's just, how do we make it work? And the studio is way too crowded to start bringing food items in here. Just all I need is to spill a big old jar of tomato sauce all over one of the computers, and that's done. Let me check the emails here. Oh, David sends us a video of his computer setup. That is a lot of screens you got there, David. Let's see if I can bring this up to the camera. I'll show it to you. I guess this is what Mara was warning me about the volume, so I'll just turn the volume off on it. I think it's just me talking in the background. Let's refresh that. Where am I going? This way. Yeah. He's got about 4 or 5 keyboards there. Must be a fan of typing. Hey, we love seeing your setups. And I hope that's all stuff that you built yourself. I hope it was, you found inspiration here to build your own machines, and that's awesome. Gary Tatum said he'd like to have the same setup that Sam the cooking guy has. Yeah, he's got some pretty nice things there, doesn't he? Is he in Canada, or is he just from Canada? It can't be Canada. It's got to be California, because his garden's way too nice all year round. Barry Klein says YouTube can use the same capricious and arbitrary criteria to determine if something was AI generated as they do determining that things contain dangerous content. Which means what? You flip a coin? Get it right 50% of the time, get it wrong 50% of the time? Suppose they could do that. But would that be better? John Williams says it's time for his dinner. Right on. Enjoy dinner. Thanks for hanging out with us and getting ready for those trick-or-treaters tonight. When it comes to cooking videos, I will say that particularly for Mara, who watches and gets inspired by certain content creators that do low-carb, sugar-free keto recipes, there's a gentleman we reached out to. His name is Wes. And Wes has a fantastic channel if you're looking for that type of content. And I want to give him a shout out because he was very nice to respond to us very quickly. We had asked him a question and really didn't expect a response from him. And if we come over here, back over to Microsoft Edge, his channel is called Highfalutin, I might be spelling it wrong, Low Carb. This is him right here. And under his videos, just go to videos here. This guy is fantastic. I can't say enough good things about him. Seems like a super nice guy on camera, and seems like a super nice guy in reaching out to him and talking to him. And some people put on an act, you know, when they're on camera. They're two different people. It certainly appears that what you see is what you get. He's really genuinely like this Southern hospitality kind of guy, and all of his recipes are most of his recipes are things that Mara can have. And so finding channels that do this are fewer and far between. And to see his success is really promising. You know, he's about the same size as us, and he's only been on YouTube. Let me think here. Does it tell us when he signed up? Yeah, 8 years, which, you know, is a respectable amount of time. And the amount of time he puts into his videos, given all the prep and cooking and everything else, and he edits it all down. So you're watching 2 or 3 hours of content in 17 minutes. Did you have something to add, Mara?
I mean, so Wes, like Carey had already mentioned,
Gotta get closer.
Huh?
Gotta get closer.
Wes, as Carey already mentioned, does appear to be a very gentle, kind, considerate person. He's very fun to watch. He doesn't usually create his own recipes. He finds other recipes, whether it's via TikTok or YouTube or whatever platform, and then he tests them out on his channel.
Yeah, but he's got a cookbook. Those are his recipes, aren't they, in his cookbook?
I haven't been able to check that out yet. But,
I would assume he's not publishing other people's.
What he usually does is he recreates a recipe that's already in existence, and because he tests them out, which I do appreciate. Testing it out in real time and a real world example of what happens if you really try to do whatever. But what makes Wes so inviting is his kind and considerate, what appears to be his kind and considerate person.
So the opposite of me, basically.
The opposite of you. Yeah, and as you mentioned, Ari, he may be a little too gentle for your channel. So, however,
he looks like he can take it.
But I get inspired by not just keto and not just low carb, not just sugar free, all over the place. I watch all kinds of stuff everywhere because there's a lot of things that others will do. Like, for example, fondant, right? Fondant is not sugar free. However, I believe I have figured out and have developed my own recipe for using, there's a content creator that I really appreciate, and she makes her own fondant using marshmallow. So I decided I think I can do that. So I developed a recipe to make sugar-free fondant using sugar-free marshmallows and make it 100% diet friendly. So I get inspired across the board,
yeah.
All over the place, from many different channels, content creators, TV, but wherever you're watching or whatever you're looking at, that's usually where I've got my head buried in, because I find it fascinating. I find it artistic. I find it creative, and I love to take on the challenge of making that others, like in a bakery, you might see everything from croissants to chocolates to whatever you might find. It could be savory, could be sweet, could be umami, whatever it is. I like taking on the challenge of turning it into something that is diet friendly. So, and folks like Wes, who seem like a very nice, very considerate person, yeah, definitely watch his channel. Maybe not necessarily just for the recipes that he's testing, just to listen to him talk, because he seems like he's such a nice person.
Yeah, he really seems like he's enjoying what he's doing. And
like
when he's tasting things, it's not that he just loves everything he cooks.
Right.
And when he does love it, it's not an act, or he's a really good actor.
Because he's testing the recipe in real time, he'll tell you what his thoughts are.
Yeah. And
he might make minor adjustments. He doesn't usually tell you like the amount of ingredients, because he wants you to go to where the recipe is from. However, in some cases he will, because he's making. So,
yeah, he's always very cautious about being very respectful. That you know, I saw this video, or I saw this TikTok or Instagram with this recipe, and I'm not going to tell you the recipe because I want you to go to them. It's theirs.
Right. So
we're just going to test it.
Like all the recipes, like I do not, and I refuse to ever use TikTok ever. So whenever he's talking about a TikTok recipe, I'm like, no, Mom, I'm not interested, and I keep going.
Yeah.
But that's just me. So for those that are using TikTok, you can do that. I refuse. So yeah.
Anyway, shout out over to Wes. If we were going to do cooking videos, we'd have to at least do that good of a job just to keep up. One of the reasons I make these videos is I feel like there's not enough of this kind of content. And I still feel like the content we're making here is quite unique, especially the interaction that we encourage. Very much enjoy having you guys be the show rather than just be passive lurking, but to invite you to be a part of it. Want to share the experience of the content of the show, where you're basically, we're working together to talk about things that, you know, what's on your mind, and maybe offer some solutions to problems, or offer some direction for where to get more help if it's nothing I can help you with, or needs more time and study. It takes the show into places I had no plans for. Like tomorrow, I've got plans for a show, but even then, I still want you to feel welcome to participate and ask myself or Cyber CPU Tech any questions that are on your mind, and we will make time to answer those questions as we see them and where we can fit it in, because he's never been on the show before, and I think we're going to have a lot to talk about, but we're not going to shut you out of it. We never will. So we hope you'll join us for that show tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Ian Gooch with a 20-pound super chat contribution. Cheers, Ian. He says, hi, Carey, and all in the chat from London, where it's a cool 14 degrees Celsius. Here's a few pounds for your coffers. Right on. Thank you, Ian. 14 degrees Celsius is, what is that? 14 degrees Celsius. It's about 57 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not too bad. I can handle 57, I think. Depending on just how cold 57 is in London compared to Arizona. I'm sure it's a little colder, but today we are, where are we at? We've been really hot lately. 86 degrees Fahrenheit right now. Yeah. Yeah, it's hot. It's Halloween. Tomorrow it's November 1st. It's 86 degrees outside. Bright blue sky, not a cloud in sight, just a big yellow sun that rises and sets the whole time, bearing down on you. And if there's a breeze, it's not too bad, but if there's no wind, it's like being in a warm oven that you can't get out of. It starts to get hot real quick without any shade and without any shelter. And it's October 31st, for crying out loud. I got a feeling we're going to have a warm and short winter, and I've never been more hopeful that I'm wrong. So I will live vicariously through all of you when you tell me your cooler temperatures around even the United States, let alone the UK. I'll just have to imagine and remember 57 degrees. It does cool down in the evenings here, thankfully, but boy, even now the days are pretty warm. Scott says it'll be nice to see Rich, Cyber CPU Tech, live. He doesn't do a lot of live shows. Well, I mean, I'm going to say this very selfishly, but I'm super excited to have him on the show and talk to him, just peer to peer. It's not too often I run into other computer techs that also do YouTube videos. And when I find them, I typically, I'm very happy to find them. It's very few, there's more mosquitoes. There's very few enthusiasts that I really want to feel that excited to talk about. And there's so many enthusiasts on YouTube. It's like, where are the techs? Where are the professional techs? I know they're out there. They need more attention to try and balance, you know, what's available to the viewers. And I'm just trying to bring more balance to that as much as I can, and make viewers know they have two different kinds of content that they can choose from, or to at least recognize the level of the content, what to expect from a professional computer technician's content versus what you should expect from an enthusiast content. And because the regular computer tech content creators here on YouTube are far outnumbered, it'd be pretty easy for the average viewer to not know that they weren't all the same. So for me, dealing with those frustrations and trying to get things and ideas across that viewers may not be accustomed to. Sometimes a lot of my ideas and concepts are completely foreign. They've never been presented the information from the enthusiasts, and I'm trying to fill that gap in. It's up to the viewer to decide if that information is of any value to them, but if they didn't even know there was an option, that's all I'm trying to do, is just let viewers know there's other perspectives besides enthusiasts. Not that there's anything wrong with the enthusiasts, but if I don't mention it, you may not even know they're enthusiasts. You may not know there's even any difference. And you might align better to enthusiast content. And if so, that can help guide you to more content that's more valid for you. I'm hoping that people love this stuff so much they want to do it for a living. And if you're going to do it for a living, what to be prepared for, because it's nothing at all like what the enthusiasts talk about. And so for those people who are like, what about earning a career with this? You really need to find a professional technician who's currently working, not who used to work, who's currently working, to understand the state of things and what's going on. And there's another gentleman I'd love to bring on, Jake's Tech, and he works at a higher level as a system administrator, as a managed service provider, and he just sits at his desk and remotes into everything. It's just damn cool, and he makes really good money. So it's not too late to get started in the industry if you're interested. In fact, it's probably never been a better time. So with that, I think that's all I've got for you for today. Mostly today's video is filler. I was really on the fence about, should I just skip today's video and just tell everybody we'll make Friday's video on Saturday? And I thought, well, we never do. I mean, very rarely do we ever do just an easy Q&A on a Friday. I try to make the Fridays the bigger show, the expensive build or the unique product. Save it for a Friday. It's the way I see it. It's my own rules. And then I thought, well, we have some stuff coming to review. In fact, some of it might even arrive tomorrow. But that's good, because that'll give us content for next week. Right now, there's nothing more for me really to show you as far as I can think of. Unless there's subject matter you want to talk about, this is a good time for me to bring on folks for interviewing right now when things are slow as far as reviews and projects, repairs, upgrades. I do have a computer to pick up. I'm supposed to pick it up tonight. That'll probably be a video for Sunday, so I can get that computer back over to the customer Sunday night, and they'll have it Monday morning for business. If I feel like this week is too tight, I'll put it off till next week. I'm not sure on that yet. Everything is really up in the air right now, and there are projects coming in. But as far as the projects that have come in, as far as I can tell, unless I'm forgetting something, we've done everything. So we're sort of in this limbo. So be patient. It can happen. We'll get flooded with a bunch of work, and then it'll get real quiet for a while, and we get flooded again. And right now we have some things trickling in, which I hope buys us enough time for other items to trickle in, and hopefully have some more computers to review, laptops, mini PCs, other upgrades and repairs to show. I've got some computers to take back over to Emerald, and we'll go back through the warehouse, look at some of the recycled stuff they've got there, see if there's anything cool or interesting, load up the trunk and bring it back. So we haven't been there in over a month. I'm sure a lot's changed over there in a month, given how quickly they turn over inventory. And yeah, we'll just keep making it happen. In the meantime, I want to thank everybody for being members. Those of you that are members, we wouldn't have these shows without you. For everybody who's not a member, but they're joining us in the chat, we appreciate your kindness and your support. And it really means the world to me to interact with everybody and have these laid back videos where we can just talk, and there doesn't have to be an agenda. There doesn't have to be a time limit. There doesn't have to be a commercial, basically. I can make content that's not a commercial. And it's amazing to me how many people hate that. Why aren't you making commercials? I want to watch a 2-minute YouTube short video. Yeah, you can turn on your TV and see those in the breaks between the show you're watching. They're called advertisements. We don't do that here. Well, then I'm not going to subscribe to you. Okay. We're living in strange times. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Have a happy, safe Halloween. And we'll look forward to seeing you all tomorrow at 1 o'clock with our guest, Rich, Cyber CPU Tech. I hope you'll join us then. Until next time, remember, doing a show on a Saturday. We don't do that very often. We hope to see you tomorrow. Until next time, bye for now.